It's Karl again with Slick Rooster Studio. I'm doing a follow-up on these Art Whale watercolor paints. These are from the set of 24 tubes, and this is kind of the what I paired that 24 down to 12 because it's a 24 is a lot of colors, and there's a lot of colors there that I wouldn't normally use. So um, I wanted to get this down to something that I could put in a little, a permanent little studio palette. And these are the 12 colors that I've gone with. Some of them are real, almost empty. Some of them look like they're full, but this is I bought two sets. I bought a second set, so this is from my second set. I've had to rob into that because I completely smashed the other ones, um, and or mostly. And I don't want to spend time in the video smashing these out with a pair of pliers to get every last little bit because I'm crazy cheap. um, so the set has gone a long way. I mean, these are 15 mil tubes, and for the price, it's still crazy. Uh, I did a portable palette. This is one of the Winsor Newton Cotman pocket sketcher set, I think they call it. And it comes with 12 Cotman pans, and I just yanked those out and reuse this because this is such a fantastic palette for just literally sliding in your pocket or throwing in a lunchbox or whatever. Um, who uses lunchboxes anymore? I don't know where I came up with that. Um, the little brush that comes with it is it's all right. I mean, it's a nylon brush. It comes to a bit of a point. In a pinch, it'll work for doodling. Um, I don't I don't use it very often. I leave it in there just in case. But I've swapped out that one color that they had that was that Madder Lake Deep. That's what they call it, and they say it's PR 122. It's one of the questionable colors that they have listed as one pigment, and I don't think it's what it is. But so I swapped that out of this one, and I put the Quin Vi in there, the quinacridone violet. They call it their permanent red violet, and it's standard quinacridone violet. Between that and the permanent red light, which is Purell red, PR 254, I can mix those and get that same hue. So I didn't really need that one. Uh, and I'm getting rid of the Payne's gray. Their Payne's gray is real dingy. It's ouch. It's like uh like a real gray versus I'm used to a Payne's gray having a bit of a blue cast to it. So instead of that, I'm going to use the Van Dyke Brown, which is their PR 101 and PBK 6, I believe. So it's their red oxide and black mix, and it's real dark. I'm skipping over the burnt umber because between the burnt sienna and the Van Dyke, I can make that color pretty easy since they're all the same mixes. It's all PR 101 and well, this is the burnt sienna is made with PBK 11, which is Mars Black, which is why it granulates in such a cool way. But the burnt umber is the same mix as the Van Dyke Brown. It's just the Van Dyke Brown is heavier on the black than the burnt umber. So if I had to redo this one, I would probably go with these 12 versus the ones that I had or put in there. I'm only using one green. There's sap green, which I like. This other green is it's all right, but it's not a useful green for a landscape palette for me. Um, I just assume mix phthalo blue and yellow, or even ultramarine and yellow to get the kind of landscape greens that I want. So uh, I'm only using one green in here. Still using yellow ochre and the burnt sienna and ultramarine, the phthalo blue, and the cerulean blue. The cerulean blue, now that I've got the tube that's the replacement tube um, that they sent out for free to replace the hardened cerulean blue tubes that everybody's had problems with. Uh, it is PB15, as is the phthalo. Phthalo is just PB15. The cerulean says PB15 and PW6, but the hue on these is different. It's like this is PB15. You can't add white to this color. Well, it doesn't really show on the camera very well. It's much more blue. Um, and the cerulean blue hue leans toward turquoise. So adding white to this isn't going to make it more green. So again, this is one of those things where I'm not sure what's in here. It doesn't look like it has white. I mean, there's no opacities to it at all. So I don't know what they're doing with their labels, but um, I like this. It's like a peacock blue, and then this is more like a dark phthalo blue, like a phthalo blue red shade or something like that. So um, yeah, I'm skipping over the cobalt blue hue as well. That's just ultramarine with white in it, and that's exactly what it washes out like. It doesn't granulate very well. Um, Keeping the permanent lemon yellow, they say it's PY 184. It's got that hue to it. To me, it looks more like a PY3, but uh, PY 184 is typically very opaque. Uh, we'll see. The Azo yellow medium I'm keeping, that's PY 154 with the benzene yellow, and PO 62. I can't remember. Is that a benzene orange? I'm not sure. I don't remember what PO 62 is, but it's a nice medium yellow, like a cadmium yellow. And I'm also keeping the permanent orange, which is the PO 43. It's a nice clean orange. Um, yeah, so very sensible set of colors for at least for a a landscape palette. And um, yeah, so that's what I'm gonna stick with. And I from that first set, I have built this palette, and I've used it quite a bit. And this palette, I've also used this quite a bit. Uh, so for gosh, I think I paid 36 bucks for the first set of 24. It's that little picture right here in the on the side. Uh, Set of 24 15 mil tubes to be able to fill with mostly useful colors and light fast colors. Uh, a palette this size and a palette this size. I mean, there's a lot of paint in these wells after you remove the half pans. These are at least a full pan size well, as are these. This is the Jerry Q, yeah, Jerry Q set. Grace Art also makes them. I think that the Marie set and maybe Rosemary has one. It's all the same palette. They just put their own label, their own stuff in there. Uh, but to get this amount of paint, and I mean these paints do shrink up. You can see some of the cracking. I've had to refill these after they shrink down. I've had to pull out the little hardened cake because it just kind of falls out, and I smush more of the paint in there and smush it down in. So I've done that probably 3 times with each one of these sets for each one of these colors. And I mean, it's now there's a lot of dried paint or cured paint in there, and they re-wet perfectly. So to be able to just with that first set for 36 bucks fill 2 palettes, substantial palettes like this, um, and still have, I mean, gosh, this is only 18 colors and this is only 12. So I've still got some tubes in that other set, the first set that are full. I think I've got 6 tubes that are still full of colors that I wouldn't normally, it's like there's a PR 101 and a black and useful colors for some people. It's just, these are the ones I chose for me, but it's nice to have those other paints. I can sell them or give them away as freebies or something. Uh, so yeah, to be able to, and then I bought the second set. It was on sale for $20 for the set of 24, which is insane. Um, and that's where these big full tubes came from to just pad out my initial. Now that I've got these made, I'm not going to go through them very fast, but I do want to make this one studio um, palette for doing ACEOs and just little things like if I need to pull out a quick palette, and do a video. It's nice to have this just a little tiny thing there. I think this is 4x6, or not even that. It's maybe 4x5 or 4.5x5. Uh, that palette takes up a lot of my working space when I'm trying to make a video, like a top-down video like this. And this one's also, it doesn't give me a lot of mixing area. It's okay, but I'd like to save these for when I'm out doing things outside, uh, versus sitting here in the studio. So just I like using these types of things. I've got this is a butter dish. I got it off Amazon. I got a pair of them for I think $12. So $6 a piece. Nice heavy porcelain. Um, it's for like a shower caddy or something for putting your soaps and conditioners or whatever you. I wouldn't use this in the shower at all because I would immediately drop it and break it in the shower. But that's what it's supposed to be for. This is a butter dish. This is kind of leaning towards my permanent, like this is the palette that I use all the time for artist grade watercolors. And there's this is just a big blob of homemade Payne's gray here. This is raw umber, Daniel Smith's buff titanium, burnt sienna, raw sienna, cadmium yellow, both here and here. This is PY 129. This is Daniel Smith's green apatite genuine. Excuse me. Ultramarine deep, uh, phthalo blue, cobalt teal, also phthalo blue, cobalt teal, ultramarine deep. This is it's PD19, but it's Da Vinci's alizarin crimson, so it's a full red tint. There's no real violet to it. This is cadmium red light, and this is they call it Da Vinci orange. I think it's PO 71 or PO 73. It's the Pyrrole orange, real highly staining bright orange. I use it a lot. It goes well with the cadmium and the cadmium red. And again, the raw sienna and burnt sienna and white, I use these for skin tones and things like that. Um, and the white and the cobalt teal make it nice muted skies and that sort of thing. So it adds some body to my blues up here. So this is where I mix my skies when I'm doing ACO size stuff. And I use a lot of Payne's gray. So this is just ultramarine and this PBK11 and magnetic black. I'm using this particular tube at this point in time, or these tubes. I bought several boxes of these when they were on sale, and I don't think they're available anymore. But it's magnetic black, so it granulates like crazy. It mixes well with the ultramarine blue to give me a nice blue Payne's gray, which is I almost use Payne's gray like an indigo. Mixes nice with the raw umber to make a fantastic black. And it also mixes well with burnt sienna to make blacks and light like silvers and things like that. And I can mix my burnt sienna across from my uh, phthalo blue or with my ultramarine blue and even the cobalt teal. That makes some interesting grays too. So um, yeah, this is kind of what I'm going for. But I want to use these colors to demonstrate. Sorry, these paints to demonstrate. You don't need to spend a lot of money to get a very versatile palette that you can mix pretty much any color on. So the lemon yellow, and I'm going to mix it similar to this one. I am going to use some white. This art whale doesn't have a white, or at least doesn't come with a white in this particular set. So this is just a Shinhan. It's their old premium Chinese white. I found that it's a really nice titanium white, PW6. Very opaque, like a gouache almost, but it sets up really nice in a palette, and it re-wets really well, so you're not scrubbing your brush out on it trying to get it to liquefy so you can use it. So that is going to go up on there and probably up in the center. The reason I've got it up in the center on this side is because this surface that I'm on, sometimes I can slant it a little bit each way. Well, not really forward so much, but when I slant it back, I don't want all my Payne's gray dark mixes that are at the bottom here. I don't want those to run up and get in the light colors. So the light colors I keep up here, and if it's tilted, tilted back, the light colors run down. It's easier to clean those out of these colors than it is these colors out of those. So that's why the white is at the top. I'm coming down this way. Normally I kind of run go from yellow to orange to red to blues, and then come back down here to the greens and then the earths and the darks when I'm setting up regular palettes and things. But I've been like with this one, I'm playing a little differently. I'm starting up here with my clean yellow, which I would use for oranges and things like that, and that's why I have the yellow in two places, the cadmium yellow, because I use this for mixing greens and I use this for mixing reds and oranges. Um, um, I've got the ultramarine in three places because I use that a lot for mixing, and I don't want to have to keep cleaning the palette. Phthalo blue as well. I use the phthalo blue along with cobalt teal quite a bit when I'm mixing. If I want a little richer turquoise color with the cobalt teal, or I want to use a little bit of granulation in with my phthalo blue, I can go that direction too. The buff titanium, that's going to be hard to replicate in here, even with a white. It's a weird color to replicate, much like Daniel Smith's green apatite genuine. It's the best green on the planet, the best landscape green as far as I'm concerned. Um, but again, I'm not going to be able to really mix that with any of these colors that Art Wheel has. It's just its own animal. But this sap green is a nice foliage green. So I'm happy with that. I can mix it with the Van Dyke brown, and and the burnt sienna has the magnetic black in it, so that gives it some nice granulation into the more olive greens and muted greens that you can get with it. So yeah, I'm gonna go yellows, oranges, reds, and blues down into the probably a larger Payne's gray like what I have here. Then my dark brown, my raw umber. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this area. I think I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna pretend like I don't own buff titanium for this particular palette, and I'll just go with the Van Dyke brown here. Uh, and again, this is going to be an ultramarine blue deep mixed with Van Dyke brown over here to get that Payne's gray that I like, and I'll still have some clean ultramarines as well. But coming around the corner, instead of the buff titanium like what I have here, I'm just going to go straight to the burnt sienna and then the yellow ochre, and I'll leave some space between them to get that raw sienna, which is so glaringly missing from the Art Wheel set. It's such a versatile color, at least for landscapes. Actually for portraiture, it's just, yeah, raw sienna should be in a kit like this. The problem with the yellow ochre is if you try to use yellow ochre in your sky, it's going to mingle with the blue and turn things green. Whereas a good raw sienna, like a PBR7 as a brown, it's a red, so it red orange. It neutralizes the blue and makes a gray in the sky versus mixing with the yellow and making the sky green. Um, so I do fake between burnt sienna and yellow ochre. I can get the shade or hue of a raw sienna, but it still has the greeny properties of the yellow ochre when you mix blues into it. So I got to be careful with that, but I can still get that hue between them. So that's what I'll do, is just I'll leave a small gap between them and to be able to mix that raw sienna. So then, and yeah, coming around, I'll do several probably greens and yellows uh, in this area, and then ultramarine blue on top, because ultramarine is nice to mix with greens, and it makes a nice shadow, green shadows, and that sort of thing. And then back up around the corner, I'll probably have some more cerulean blue up here and phthalo blue, uh, very similar to this. I don't know what I'm going to do. I might bring some burnt sienna up here to mingle with the yellows and oranges. It's nice to have burnt sienna around when you're making oranges, because especially for landscape, sometimes you want a dark, gritty, earthy orange versus what the clean orange you're going to get from this or that, I guess. So that's the plan, and I'm just going to start squirting the paints out on this thing. Last time I got into this tube, it was a little separated, so I've been kneading it. I really don't like to knead metal tubes like this, because if you do it every time, you're going to weaken the metal, and uh, at some point you're going to squeeze it, and it's just going to shoot a stream of white paint out somewhere, probably over on something expensive. The way my luck is always, like my computer screen or keyboard or something, or up onto a $400 camera, and make a lot of fun for cleaning up. So yeah, just squeezing these things out. I don't really care about keeping the edges clean around here, because later when I'm painting with it, I can just rub the belly of the paintbrush along there and clean that off. But ultimately, I mean, I'm just moving them around and keeping them here in the studio. It's not that important to keep it super clean. Just using standard regular toothpicks to, once I squeeze the paint out in there, kind of bring it up and attach it to the side, and then make like a small, when I'm doing these open palettes like this, I like to make a small well or indentation inside of the paint colors. Uh, and as that dries, I'll kind of push my finger into it, make that divot a little better. That way you can come at it from the side with your brush and pull color off, or you can go on the top and get pure color out of it. So like with my yellows over here, I'll do that. And then if I want to make it orange, I can take the red and kind of touch the side of the yellow without contaminating the top part of it. So I got 12 colors here. So, I mean, that would be like 6 and 6. So with this, we're going to say, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Yeah. So I'm just trying to space it out in my head. How do I divide this particular shape palette? Ooh, I've noticed that in some of these art wheels, that is an extraordinary amount of um, binder that's sitting on top. So they do separate. Actually, it's only in this second set that I got that I've noticed this separation. You see how much, maybe, I can't see it, how much of that gooey gum Arabic is probably what it um, is coming out of there first. I really don't like squeezing that stuff onto my palette because it just becomes a slimy mess. So waste a little paint there, but not much. Oh yeah, see that's better. Now once that little bit of separation is done, that came out pretty good. And that'll smooth out when I mix it with the toothpick too. So this will be my up here. This is their permanent lemon yellow. This will be my clean blob of lemon yellow that I'll use. And you can see I'm working a divot into it with the toothpick while I'm kind of stirring it as well. And then just get as much as I can off the toothpick. And when I'm dealing with light colors, like alike colors, um, I'll clean the toothpick. I know they're only pennies a piece, but every little bit to save the world, I guess. I see now that one's okay. Oh nope, I was mistaken. Did you see that? That is nothing but a big gooey pile of that looks solid on the top, and it just squeezed out a large amount of goo. Again, that's from that second set. The first set did not do this. Did not have that much separation. That's an extraordinary amount of binder to come shooting out of the middle of that tube. All right, I'm gonna get rid of that before I get. I did not check these tubes before I started this. I thought they'd be like the other ones. So I'm just getting the toothpick down in there and checking it. Yeah, there's some separation. I can tell there's the harder parts at the bottom. Wow, that left a large, I don't know if you can see it, that left a large cavity in there. That tube is not full. I wonder if this is why that second set was on sale for $20, because like I say, that first set didn't do this at all. Man, that's a half empty tube right there. So now I've got this. This is stupid, to me to try to save this tiny amount of paint off this toothpick, but that's just the way my mind works. That'd bug me the rest of the day if I didn't attempt to do that. Boy, is that going to be a running mess coming out of there now? I'm having to squeeze that tube quite a bit to get anything to come out. Boy, it is running. Huh. Well, that is disconcerting, but I have had this happen with, other professional brands of paint too. I've had some Daniel Smith tubes and Da Vinci tubes that you open them and they almost explode. There's a pressure of an air bubble or something in there, and just some sort of manufacturing issue they had that day. But that's interesting that the first two that I've opened up from that second set have had this issue. Boy, that one's really it's expanding. It's a very wet paint. Yeah, so like I say, this is from the first set. Wow, hadn't opened in a while. And they've got those little foam inserts in the lid, and I swear if I don't remember to kind of peel it off with the lid as I'm pulling it off, that thing just sticks on that top of that tube. Yeah, see it. Can you see how stiff and firm that one is compared to that mess there? That's almost that second yellow is almost like a Daler Rowney issue. Their paint is just garbage. The paint's great. Their formulation or consistency is absolutely terrible. I won't use their stuff. And leaning that way towards Lucas, now that Lucas is owned and made by Daler Rowney. Um, I'm getting away from the Lucas paints too, which is a shame because Lucas 1862 used to be a really good brand when they were made in Germany with their formulation was very consistent. But I've got a whole video about the Lucas um, review that I did, and yeah, I'm just not happy with Daler Rowney's treatment of the brand after they bought them or bailed them out or whatever happened. Wow, that is a stuck. Yeah, good Lord. Yeah, see, this is from the first set. A nice firm paint. Now, Art Whale has when I talked to them and they sent my replacement tubes and they offered to let me affiliate with them and give my subscribers a discount, and I haven't pursued that yet. But when I was talking to them, they said that they'd fix the problem with the cerulean blue tubes in the sets. So I think yeah, May was when they said they would be shipping out the new sets. So maybe that's what the $20 set was too, is just getting rid of all the old sets. But um, I'll be curious to see these next few tubes that we do here. That's a lot of red. Sorry, I don't use red hardly at all. And I squished out a big bunch of it there. It's okay. I'll make do. It's the perfectionist in me wants to lose his mind right now, but I'll make it work, and it will be just fine. The hell was they talking about? Daily round, the affiliate. Uh, that is also a lot of purple. What are you doing, man? I rarely use it. I mean, even yeah, alizarin and crimson. I don't use those colors too much either. So yeah, we're gonna work these two guys together because that's taking up a lot of space. That's a lot of space for my orange. Um, yeah, talking and doing stuff at the same time. This is so much purple. Well, violet, whatever the. That'll take me 10 years to use that much violet up in the landscapes the way I do them. Maybe I need to start doing purple trees or something. All right, so what does that? What does that leave me? I gotta start. I got 7 more tubes to put out, and I've used up a lot of real estate with these colors that I don't really use as much of. All right, so this is ultramarine deep from the new box. Yeah, so I was talking about the old versus. Oh yeah, so maybe that was the $20 thing, was just to blow out their inventory. Man, I can see Binder sitting on top of that too. What in the world? I wonder if this set maybe sat in the heat or something. I very much did not see this kind of separation in the first set that I bought, and this second set is not great. We're gonna this. Oh my God. Okay, this will be my Payne's Gray section. Did what I could to get that binder out of there. Paint manufacturers, if you're watching this, this is why we appreciate some quality control, because you're costing us money. I'm gonna throw this stuff, money and time, which is even more valuable with your inconsistent formulations and quality control. Now with Art Whale, I mean this tube was, gosh, less than $1 for this whole tube of paint. So I don't hold them to the same standard that I do Daniel Smith or Da Vinci or someone like that. Um, but yes, I absolutely wish that these guys would set an example, which they did with that first set. I was very impressed with that. I have no idea what I'm doing in this corner here. I guess I'll just, I do use a lot of ultramarine, so all right. I guess maybe what I'll do is skip the phthalo and cerulean like what I have here. Now that I'm using both of these, I think I like this butter dish better. Even though I think they're pretty close to the same surface area. I mean, this one's more narrow, but it's longer, so you get this much extra space. If you were to pad that out along the side, they'd be just about the same. So that big glob of binder hadn't come out, I would have a much more organized ultramarine blue patch right here. Yeah, what I'm going to do is keep this around, please. Clearly, I'm going to need to do something with the blue. So now looking at this one, this is my, I guess I start up this side and I'll only have the cerulean blue and the phthalo blue over here, which is okay because I don't mix phthalo blue a lot with anything but the yellow, and I'll have a yellow over here as well for mixing trees and things. Sorry, this could be much better, much more well planned out. Yep, there's the foam insert. So this Van Dyke Brown, I'm just going to smush as much as I can get out of this. Ooh, yes. Oh, and it's on me too. That was my fault, not Art Whales. I was trying to. I'm in a hurry. I got to go to work here shortly. So, so that was delightful. What am I gonna do with that? Oh, oh, and that little foam thing is just biting me here. All right, I'm resisting the urge to just shut the video off with prejudice and hose this whole thing off and start over. But all right, huh. Look at this big herd of brown over here encroaching on my bright, clean rainbow colors. Hey, that worked out pretty good. I can get the rest of that with a paper towel. Why did I stick that in? That's stupid. All right, so I'm stirring up my Van Dyke Brown, which I use a lot of this too, so I'm okay with this disaster that's happened over here. I'll clean it up as I paint. It'll take quite a few paintings to get that sort of tamed. And I'm sorry, my trash can is behind me, that's why I'm always spinning around. I don't think about it before I start the video. I just move my trash can up, so I'm not constantly just running away from you. Okay, before I go any further, I'm going to do my best to get that brown out of there. Not a huge deal. It'll make a it'll make a nice gray or dark red or orange or something there eventually. All right, so this is not going as well as I would like, but it's not a huge deal. All right, here comes another new tube. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't bode well. Well, maybe it's okay. Nope, nope. All right, well, at least it's firm. I did get some binder coming out of it. But I can live with that. All right, in the interest of moving both this video and myself along so I can go to work, I'd really rather not have to pause the video and then come back after my shift and try to remember exactly. Wow, look at that. Again, this is the second set. No. I have 1, 2, 3 colors left to put on, and they don't have to be that big. So leave that there for now. Come on. All right. So once I got that initial little slug of binder out of the way, that doesn't look bad. Come on. There we go. All right. I don't have as much room between these guys as I would like, but what I really wanted to get more, I wanted to be able to put some of this yellow over here and then do the green, but I think that I'm not going to worry about that because that's such a nasty wet tube of paint that it'll just, if I try to put it over here, it's going to run everywhere. And so for this second set of Art Whale paints, I'm not as impressed as I was the first time around. These are separated and kind of gross. That one wasn't bad. This is the sap green. Let's see how the cerulean blue held up. It's been a while since I had this open. This was the replacement tube that they sent me. Nope, it's still good. Oh yeah, I wanted to add ultramarine. I'm going to add ultramarine over there too. So I'm going to keep this phthalo blue fairly small. Phthalo blue on my finger, that's the best. That won't stain or anything. Yeah, at some point I'll work the phthalo blue in over here too, because I do like to be able to use this with the browns and kind of make an endanthron kind of a blue, or anthraquinone, or whatever they're. The PB60s, different names for different manufacturers. Well, that is definitely a true phthalo blue. There's plenty staining. It's not like I'm a hand model or something. All right, and I'm just going to use this same yellow ochre toothpick to loosen up and shape the burnt sienna. Oh, that's pulling that Van Dyke-ness in there. Nice thing about doing it this way, I've done this with larger platters and things too. They're like the rectangle, like bento plates and stuff that you get for like sushi plates. You can get those pretty cheap. It's fun to go to Goodwill and just kind of see what kind of surprise stuff you can get there too. All right, green. I'm gonna make a little bit of a well in the green just so I can get some of that pure color out of there. But I'm at the point now where all I need to do is add ultramarine to the green, to my side with the greens, and this palette is done, and I can shut her down and go to work. And I'll come back and paint a few things with this palette. Probably just do some ACOs. That's kind of what this is for. Wow, another big air bubble in there. Like, it popped and it's just, the tube collapsed in my fingers. Oh, and there's another big blob of binder. So they're not, something's happening either at the, I can't imagine this isn't at the factory. They're mishandling the, boy, I squished a crap load of ultramarine out there too. I was not paying attention. It's okay. Um, like I say, I use this a lot with landscapes and, oh, I just don't know. And for giggles, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of this binder. Come on, man. What? Wow. That is just a soupy mess in there. Yeah, I'm going to clean some of that out and try to get some good paint out of this tube. That's a shame, too, because this is a good color. without having it. Nah, whatever. That's a soupy mess. I'll let it dry. It'll shrink. Oh, I forgot about that. Art whale stuff when it dries, it shrinks like crazy. So that may be an issue. I didn't think about that. Having stuff just sit here like on the lid of these, this stuff dries up all the time and flakes off. And yeah, I didn't think about that. I might should have added some honey or glycerin or something to these while I was doing it, but we'll see how it goes. I'll adjust it later, but for now, yeah, this is not what I envisioned in my head when I started this video today. Uh, Nor is that. But it's okay. It's a watercolor palette. As I use it, they'll all shrink, and I can readjust them later. The porcelain dish isn't going to wear out or anything, so I'll have this for years and years, and who knows, it might become my go-to palette for, just quick ACOs. What I'm going to do with my next video, well, this is probably more my go-to palette, but whatever. What I'm going to do with this in the next video is I want to use these cheap watercolors with these cheap watercolor pencils. These are the Color set of, I don't know, 120 or whatever it is, that is like 29 bucks on Amazon. And using the two of them together, I'm not super impressed with these by themselves. They do okay, but to be able to use them together, I think it'll make some interesting stuff, and it's super cheap, um, comparatively to professional grade. Well, they call these professional grade, but professional grade, this, the brands we're used to, the Albert Durers and the ink tents and things like that. Um, so yeah, I'll let this cure for a bit while I'm at work, and then I'll come back and see what kind of a mess I'm in. Look at the It's weird how the binder's climbing up the hill onto that sap green. Um, yeah, that's interesting. Like a capillary action, which is not a big deal. Unless, greens and yellows they play well together. So thanks for watching this again, unscripted, chaotic catastrophe. Um, and I'll make some more videos soon. Thanks. Take care.